Hey, hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Amber, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my weekly wrap-up. So, last week I did a couple of reading vlogs, and I was really enjoying that. So I did try to continue that with this week, but I realized that, one, I update a little bit too much, and I didn't really want to edit, and I just didn't know where to take off sort of thing, so I decided to just stop the whole thing. I'm going to try to do things differently when I do my next reading vlog, but I'm going to keep my reading vlogs to when I do reading challenges. So the next reading challenge is going to be The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. I had the first 3 books. I'm just waiting for the 4th one to arrive, but it's going to be over 2 months before I do another one, and I'm fine with that because I do not want to be constantly doing challenges because I'll burn out on them. But I really loved it. I really don't want it to be like super long either because I was really enjoying that. I want to keep trying reading challenges, and so I'm looking forward to doing that. The reason why it's probably going to be 2 months is because of one of the books that I'm actually currently reading, and we will get to that. That'll be the thing I talk about last. But let's talk about the first thing that I want to talk about, which is currently reading, but it was supposed to be something that I finished this week, which I ended up not finishing. So, as you know, my last week, my whole goal was to read the last 6 books of the Harry Potter series in 7 days, and I ended up reading the last 5 books in 6 days, and then I could have been read The Deathly Hallows Saturday, but I decided not to. I decided to let this be my work read because I have it on audio, and that was my main format for the series, and I thought that I would have finished it, but things have changed. I'm not going to talk about it because I'm still pissed off about the whole thing because it shouldn't have happened, but I didn't really have a chance to actually listen to it for most of the week. I listened to the first 8 chapters on Monday, and then I got to chapter somewhere in the middle of chapter 19 now, and I listened to however amount that is yesterday and Friday. So I'm halfway through this book. I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying rereading this, and 2 things that I always find frustrating in this book, and it's not a bad frustration, like, it makes sense to be frustrated about it, is Ron, who runs off at one point, and if you've read or watched the film, you'll know what that's all about, and I always find that frustrating because although I get some of his deep insecurities that are playing a part in all of this, it still frustrates me because it's really unfair to Harry, since Harry never really showed that, that he had any feelings for Hermione or anything of that sort. He's putting his own insecurities on Harry, and that wasn't really fair. And it was just kind of childish and just pathetic in a way. And I always find that frustrating to read. And then with Hermione, I find her a little bit frustrating here. I get that she's a very logical. She needs proof to be able to believe it. But when has Harry's ideas been really off the mark that much? And like, why would he lie when he would say these things? It doesn't make sense. And I get that she's scared, but it still frustrates me when I read it because I know that it is real, and it just frustrates me because I know it, and she doesn't know it, or she just isn't ready to admit that there's a possibility of it being real yet. So it's just one of those things that plays a part in this story. It makes sense. It makes sense with the characters and who they are and what they're going through in these things. So it's just frustrating, but I love it. Not love what they're doing and dealing with, but loving the story and this book. So I should hopefully have this finished by the next week's weekly wrap up. I'm really crossing my fingers so I can say that. But then the next 2 books are first time reads, which I started, and DNF, and I'm really frustrated because it feels like every time I pick up first time read lately, I ended up DNFing it, and it's just so frustrating to me because I will reread books galore, and finish them and love them, and yet if I pick up anything new, it ends up coming off like, that I hate them or something. It's just so frustrating, and I'm really hoping that this does not become a thing for the rest of the books that I picked up. So, the first book that I read and DNF'd this week was You by Caroline Kepnes. This is told in second person, which, if you do not know, means that the narrator is seemingly talking directly to you. So instead of saying her or she, it's you. And this is about Joe, who works in this bookshop, and one day this woman enters and he becomes obsessed and starts stalking her. And so because of that, you think that I would feel, a little intense, scared, into the seat type stuff going on here. Yet, the 40 pages that I read, I felt exact opposite. I was bored and I was annoyed with Joe, who, instead of being scary and creepy, just came off as an annoying child type character. And the person that he's stalking has some major dark issues herself, and it's just like none of the characters have anything redeeming, it seems like. In those 40 pages, I didn't like anyone, and you're not supposed to like Joe, which makes sense, but I couldn't even latch onto the person that he's stalking, whose name is Guinevere. So even Guinevere, I just couldn't even I felt sorry that she was being stalked, but I couldn't connect with her. It's just, it didn't really make sense. I kept trying to make sense, what is the point of this book? In those 40 pages, I just didn't get any sense of that. And then we have the fact, and this is the main turn-off for me here, is the fact that this is told in stream of consciousness style. So if you do not know, I don't think I've talked about this a lot because I don't read stream of consciousness type books, style of books, I should say. But I've tried Virginia Woolf several times, cannot deal with it. I cannot get past the first page. Stream of consciousness just comes off very messy and all over the place for me. It feels like I'm slogging through a lot of nonsense to get to the actual story, and whereas Virginia Woolf is very heavy-handed stream of consciousness, this is not. Yet I found myself pushing myself and forcing myself to read this book because of that. I feel like the stream of consciousness style really dragged this story down, and it made this book lack the intensity and excitement and it didn't see what's going to happen next part of it down, and I couldn't get into it. The last thing that really frustrated me about this book was the fact that it seemed like in the first 20, 30 pages, there's a lot of book drops, film drops, actors and author drops. So just all these things being mentioned left and right, and it just felt like the author was trying to show off a lot about her knowledge of books and films, and I'm just that is so unnecessary, and it doesn't feel right to me. I don't know what the right word is for it. Every time I think of it, I keep thinking it's pretentious and just kind of a bit arrogant and show-offy, which is a less sophisticated word for it. But I couldn't get past that. That really frustrated and annoyed me that there was just such this constant of these things constantly coming at me, which it just didn't work for me, and it came off, like I already said. So, I just couldn't force myself to read this anymore. Also, I did actually go to the end of the book just to see if there was an actual point, if it was going to lead up to anything, and sadly I don't feel like it does. It feels completely pointless to me. I don't get what the reason for this for everything because there's no kind of consequence, result, anything, and that just annoys me. Also, I get that there's like a second book, a sequel, but even with that, the ending that I read didn't really feel right. Like, it didn't feel like it was going to lead into anything. So I'm sorry to say, but I really just didn't find this to be all that interesting, intense, exciting enough to keep me reading. Then the other book that you left was The Interstings by Meg Wolitzer. So this is about a group of friends who, as teenagers, they meet at a summer camp and they call themselves the Interstings, which is supposed to be very ironic. And it's about them growing up. The book starts in the 70s and kind of moves on from there till present day, and you see them growing, changing, finding their place in the adult world. And the fact that this novel spans through such a huge span of time, I found that you couldn't really tell where you were in the years, and I found that she jumped around too much, which was just frustrating because you couldn't really put yourself where you're supposed to be. I kind of would have liked, because let's take it in like 3 parts. What I thought was going to happen was that, like, she was going to do like a whole segment about the camp and maybe some of the afterwards directly after that, and then go straight into their adult lives and see where they were as adults and move on from there and see, you know, who they are as adults and just go from there. And that was not what it was. She jumped a lot in those first 150 pages that I read. She was just jumping so much all over the place that I couldn't keep up with that in a way. Like, it wasn't hard to know when you were in the past and when you were in the present. It was just really confusing to know where you were time-wise. What year were we in? I knew when we started in the camp that it was the 70s because she talked about Nixon's and she said that this was the 70s basically. But after that point, there was nothing solid to plant you in that year, whatever year that was supposed to be. There was nothing solid to place you. There was no sense of time or place in those times. So you just never really got a sense of where you were. And nothing happened. I was halfway through the book and I was just like, wait a minute. What is the point of this book? Where's the driving force? What's the plot? I don't get it because nothing was really happening. There was no central plot going on that drove things forward. Like, I don't mind character centered plots. Like, but it has to have something. It has to have a central plot, like, driving these characters forward. But there was no sense of it. And just having a normal life span through the pages, like, we're all living life. It doesn't work for a novel all that much. It just ends up being very boring, and it gives you the sense of, like, nothing is actually happening. And once I got to that point, I was like, wow, I just realized how bored I am of this book because nothing was happening. Nothing made sense. I couldn't figure out what was the point of this book. And that seems like it's something with these 2 books that I did enough so that I didn't get the point. And she wasn't making it very clear. And I read some reviews, and one of the reviews that I connected to a lot, she talks about how I just lost my train of thought. Okay, let me try to find my train of thought. But she talks about how what she says here, and I'll try to put her link down below if I can figure that out, is that very little actually happens in this novel unless you count life, and that happens to all of us and does not a novel make. And I 100% agree with that. It's like, I get it. This was supposed to be about the characters, but instead, because she was so centered on them, she lost the actual plot. And she talks about how there's like there is a central scandal, something that was supposed to like tie all this together, but she doesn't really talk about it. There's a lack of development, and it doesn't even like really play a part until like the very end of the book, it seems like, because halfway through the book and I don't even know what that scandal is. And it's just that none of the characters are really developed. She's obsessed with physical appearances over actual substance with these characters. She keeps on talking about how Ethan and Jules are the ugly two, and the rest are like these beautiful people. You have Goodman, who is the opposite of good, and it's just like she's so obsessed with the physical appearances of the things. I feel like it becomes a hindrance to the actual book. Now, the one thing that I did not actually pay attention to or really think about all that much when I was actually reading the book, this reviewer brings up, and that is how the sex scenes are less than sexy, and I didn't really like pay attention to it because it's not like I have that experience. But when she talked about it, I started really like noticing how it seemed kind of unrealistic. And here's the thing: I've read plenty of books that have sex scenes in it, and I've never once heard anybody talk about sex in this way. And it feels, and in thinking about it, it started to become very unnatural, and just a little bit too clinical. And I wonder if anybody would be thinking that when they're just about to have, right before they're about to have sex, it just didn't seem real in what I've read in other places. But overall, and going back to my original thoughts when I was first reading this, it's just really boring with nothing going on. Characters that lacked any real development, which is something that I feared would happen, considering that there's like 6 characters. Even yet, we only deal we have the narrator Jules, who seems to be narrating the majority of this book, and yet she herself, I just couldn't really place her, couldn't identify her, couldn't connect with her. Yeah, we all have different experiences, but I should be able to connect with her if she was developed well enough, if there was just enough going on with this book. A lot of it is just that there's a lack of actual story going on here. So I DNF'd it. I'm not going to give ratings to books I DNF'd anymore, because I feel like that's not really fair since I didn't finish it. But I did not enjoy what I did read. I don't think that I was going to get any more out of it. I don't really feel like there was a point, like there was nothing going to change. And that is the thing. There was no change. In the whole half of this book, nothing changed. Nothing seemed new. Nothing felt like we were moving actually forward. It felt all the same. And that is a sad and disappointing thing to find in a book. So, there you go. The last book we have here is a book that I'm actually currently reading and enjoying, and of course that is a reread, and that is Lord of the Rings. Here we have, I've measured out, tabbed out, I should say, all the amount of pages I want to read each day, and I am trying to read 50 pages a day. I think I will be able to finish this in a month's time. This is 19 days worth, but because I don't read every day, I don't read on the weekends, so it maybe actually a little over a month. But I'm actually really enjoying this reread. I figured that it would be easier to reread because I've already read it. I know the story. I mean, I know the story from the films, but I feel like since I've read the books, it should be easy for me to get through because I know what I'm getting into. I already know the fact that Tolkien can be very tedious with his writing, that he tends to go overboard with a lot of things. He kind of goes on side vendors with descriptions and songs, etc. And so it could have used some editing down, but I love the world building, I love the story, and he does have some great writing going on, and I can't help but enjoy this book a lot. So I am working my way through this. I am 100 pages in. I only read for like 2 days worth because yesterday was Friday and I started this on Wednesday and I didn't get a chance to read it yesterday. So yeah, so that's what I'm currently reading. I still have to pick out a book for my new reads. I think I'm going to be reading one of my fantasy books. Although maybe I shouldn't be reading fantasy when I have 2 other books I'm reading that's fantasy. So we shall see. You will find out when I do my next video. So that is all for me. I would love to hear if you read You Are the Interestings. What did you think of them? Did you enjoy them? I would love to hear why, if you did or did not. Also, I'd love to hear what you're reading, what you've been reading lately. And until next time, I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you then.